If you were president, would it be your plan to try to repeal and replace Obamacare, something you voted to eliminate 3 times?
Well, you're right. President Trump promised that he would repeal and replace Obamacare, and he didn't do it. And that was a promise that he made a lot of times.
What would you do, Governor? What would you
costs
do?
have continued to go up. Well, but I think it's important to point out.
Understood,
so
but
this
Governor,
is part
what would
of a
you
pattern
do?
where he's running on things that he didn't do. Here's what I will do. What I think you're going to need to do is have a plan that will supersede Obamacare, that will lower prices for people so that they can afford health care, while also making sure that people with pre-existing conditions are protected.
Okay, so he gave one specific: protect people with pre-existing conditions, because even Ron DeSantis gets that they cannot take that away at this point. Only Donald Trump doesn't seem to get that. Aside from that, it's just we'll lower prices. It's going to be vague. Now, she's going to do follow-up questions, trying to get some specifics about what he's going to do to supersede Obamacare, which is repeal and replace. It's just they know that that sounds bad. That wasn't to winner, so now he's come up with a new term. Let's see if she can get any more specifics.
I want to be clear by what you mean by supersede. Do you mean you will move to repeal Obamacare and try to replace it with something else, or will you leave it in place and make revisions?
No. You will have a totally different health care plan.
So you repeal it?
But what
You'll
it will
move
be
to
is
repeal it?
people that will be on things like, if they have an exchange plan, we'll have a plan that will offer them coverage. So the coverage will be different and better, but they're still going to be able to be covered. So we want to make sure we have as many people covered as possible at the lowest possible price.
Can you tell me specifically what the plan is and what your plan is to ensure the 40 million people who now have health insurance who didn't before Obamacare was passed?
Well, we're going to be working on, probably in the spring, we'll roll out a big proposal.
Lol.
Oh, good. Only in the spring. Okay, I hope you get it done by the time we make you president of everything.
Yeah.
So this is the Donald Trump thing. What specifically? Specifically, better coverage and cheaper, and get back to me in 2 weeks. That's all it is. Okay. I think that's fair. I think to those 40 million people who are uninsured and now have insurance, I think that they should roll the dice on their lives on the vague promise of Ron DeSantis. What do you think, Francesca?
I just think this is so exemplary of how the Republican Party is devoid of policy. They have no plans to help average Americans, certainly not on the economy, but when it comes to basic things like healthcare. This is a case in point. He knows what he has to say. So if anything, he's revealing what a win covering people who want and can afford healthcare. What a win that is. Notice how he's not going back to a pull yourself up by the bootstraps. We got to get people employed so that their employer gives them health insurance. We got to notice how that is a third rail. And thanks to a lot of democratic pressure, progressive pressure, and the general movement that has soured on the idea that you leave people uncovered, even though almost 27 million Americans don't have health insurance in this country, all right? That was CDC numbers from last year. So it's really important to know they have no plan to help our lives. They have a plan to try and take down their opponent, create a new straw man enemy, whether that's Donald Trump, whether that's immigrants, whether that's a book that they want to make the next Mickey Mouse. But when push comes to shove, they don't know how to govern, and they're full of it if they say we want to lower prices. How are you going to do that, Ron? What are you going to do? How you gonna put price controls on pharmaceutical companies? No, you won't, even though you basically, you traffic in anti-vax, I hate big pharma. They don't hate big pharma. They love big corporations. Are you actually willing to rein them in? No. What about Biden's win in terms of, getting Medicare to actually negotiate pharma prices? You gonna talk about that? No. So they have nothing, but it is indicative of a movement specifically around healthcare that we need to keep pushing on when it comes to universal coverage, because you bet your ass way more people, yes, sadly, MAGA folks, would support a universal coverage for all Americans.
Yeah, it can't be specific. You listed a couple of things he's not going to do. I mean, you just go down the line. He's there to make those corporations richer and the individuals who invest in them richer. That's all. He's not there he is part of the continuing political movement that, had Obamacare not been passed, they would not have passed anything. They wouldn't have, like, people really need to get through their minds. Like, it's not like you put the Dems in and the Dems pass a bunch of Dem bills and you put the Republicans and they pass a bunch of Republican bills. No, the Republicans do not want to pass anything. They might pass a couple things, maybe. They're not getting into office to pass anything because they've already won economically. They're there to take up space and stop things from happening that might change the fact that they're winning. He's not getting in because he just, I have this plan that I have to get. There's no plan. Neither is there a plan for Trump. Like, if we bring up this headline, it's a reminder to people. He promised for years to tell you what his healthcare plan is. He still hasn't. He was president for 4 years and he never rolled it out. He was candidate for 2 years, president for 4 years. It's been years since then. He still hasn't told us what the plan is. Like, do not gamble your life on this, people. Anyway, and me saying that he would not, actually make sure that you get insurance is not calling for his assassination, just in case anyone is listening and wants to declare me that. He's an extremist and I'm not calling for political violence.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.